Hey guys, what's going on? It's Vic here, back with another mock draft, and in today's episode, I brought a special guest, aka my brother. He goes by Chaz. Okay, Chaz, we're live. You want pick one or pick two?
Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem.
What do you want to do? Odd, even, or every two picks? Switch off.
We'll just switch off every pick, so odd even.
Okay. I don't have a coin. Do you want odd or flip the coin?
You can have first pick if you want.
All right. I will take the first pick. But I believe, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. I still think the Panthers are going to go with C.J. Stroud.
CJ Stroud at one, okay.
But I think that's their guy. I know Adam Schefter said that was, you know, not the case, and Bryce Young visiting the Texans was a waste of time. But I think they're going to go with C.J. Stroud
I
still.
can see both sides of this. I think it's probably going to be, yeah, I think it's probably going to be Bryce Young in my opinion after seeing all the reports on it. But I follow the draft rumors now because usually what happens with the rumors is what actually happens, like with Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson last year.
Correct. Yeah. So no, that one was still kind of a surprise, even though it was rumored, right? But they call it silly season for a reason. So, but I still think we're going to see C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young go one or two. Either way it happens. So.
Yeah, and then with that being said, since the Texans have Bryce Young, they literally said it themselves that they're not sold on any quarterback except Bryce Young. I think they would have to take Bryce Young at two, so that's what I'm going to do. Texans, Bryce Young.
Brings us to Arizona. Are we doing trades or?
If you want to incorporate trades, I would be fine with that. I'm not going to lean to any trades. Probably, I'm probably just going to flow with it. But if you want to incorporate it, I'll
Yeah,
add
I
it.
don't think it. I don't think it makes sense for a mock draft because there's so many variables to have a trade for not a quarterback. But I just think Arizona's probably, greater than 50% chance of trading out of this.
I think they would trade probably with like the Raiders or like maybe even the Falcons or something like that. But I don't think they would
Yeah.
leave the top 10 if they wanted to trade.
But for the sake of what we're doing, right, we'll just leave it as is. And I'm going to go with this is going to still be pre-consensus, but Will Anderson, right?
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think there's a strong chance, Arizona drops back, let somebody hop in deep. But probably the best prospect in the class is not a quarterback and position of need. So either way, Arizona should be happy.
At number four, the Colts have been rumored to really like Will Levis, but I think it would be retarded of them not to take Anthony Richardson here after seeing his combine. So Anthony Richardson's going to be at four, and there's been rumors of the Panthers wanting Anthony Richardson at one, which I just think is silly talk, but it could be something.
Yeah, you never know, right? I mean, there's every year the actual NFL draft is like the worst mock draft ever. And
It is.
surprises, and that's because the team's boards aren't ours, right? But I don't think Richardson goes one overall, and I've seen him drop all the way to 20 at the Seahawks, right? A lot of upside. So Richardson, Colts.
Yeah.
And,
Pick number five, you got Carter probably.
I'm going to pass on Carter here. I'm hearing he could drop a little further than people anticipate. There's kind of some buzz. John Schneider last draft went a heavy character draft, and privately wasn't as high on Carter after some of the issues he's had off field. So the position in need, but I think tough call here with Anderson off the board. So you're looking at Tyree Wilson possibly, but I think they're going to go Devin Witherspoon here
Devon
at
Witherspoon.
corner. So it's still a big position in need of Seattle, and killer draft last year, but I think they're going to keep filling out the defensive backfield here, and then maybe look at D-line at the 20 slot, if not offense. So.
At six, you've left me in a predicament now because there's so many options. The Lions do need corner now that they don't really have anything after spending pick number three on Jeff Okuda. Cam Sutton is their best corner. They don't really have too much at safety. I mean, actually, never mind. They have Chancey Gardner-Johnson, Kirby Joseph. But if you leave Jalen Carter on the board and Tyree Wilson, I don't think you can pass up on Jalen Carter. So I'm taking Jalen Carter at six for the Lions. I think they're just getting another free play. They get it every single year. They have Penei Sewell fall to them at number seven. You get you have Aiden Hutchinson from last year. They get every snag every single year.
The Raiders here, I mean, I think they're going to go Will Levis if he's there. So again, I do think, I don't know if they like Richardson or Levis more. I do think they could trade up to three. That's really plausible. But, some people projected Will Levis is going to take, a steep drop. But the over-under in Vegas is still 7.5, which should tell you something. So I think Atlanta, could also be a surprise team. But, the Raiders could add, add a guy almost at any position on defense, and the offense is actually pretty solid. So Jimmy G will be the starter as long as he's not hurt. And I think they're, after moving on from Carr, they're going to want the next guy in line, at least developing. So I'm going to stick with Will Levis here, who's a polarizing prospect. But again, I think the top 4 quarterbacks still go fairly early.
At 8, I'm really conflicted here because Tyree Wilson is on the board, which makes sense just to go to there. But at the same time, there's been multiple reports saying Atlanta is determined to keep edge rusher Nolan Smith in Georgia. I don't think they'll take him if Tyree Wilson is here, so I am going to go Tyree Wilson. But maybe down the board they could have traded back and gotten Nolan Smith because they apparently are really, really high on him.
Yeah, and I honestly could see Nolan Smith sneaking ahead of Wilson too. There's PFF is one that's a lot lower on Tyree than some other people, and Nolan Smith was, I think he was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school at one point. So I mean, there's still going to be a lot of love for Nolan Smith, but Tyree Wilson makes a ton of sense at 8. So
pick number 9, Bears.
The Bears, and this pick, this one's been kind of one of the more consensus ones. I think could go a couple directions. We got a mini slide for Christian Gonzalez going, but I think they have to go O-line and grab top tackle in the draft. There's some buzz on Broderick Jones here, just because of a physical mauling tackle, but I think they go with the polished guy, hometown guy, Northwestern, Peter Skoronsky.
Okay.
9.
I see him more of his guard because he has the shorter arms, and the tackle position would be more like Paris Johnson. But this is still a good pickup, of course. They still need all of their offensive line really revamped, other than maybe like Tevin Jenkins.
Right. For some teams, I think that could scare them off. But the last, tackle prospect from Northwestern with the shorter arms was Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Which was a home run tackle for the Chargers. So again, polished prospect, not the most physically gifted, but I think makes a ton of sense for the Bears.
Okay, pick number 10 for the Eagles. I think, yes, they do need Brian Branch in terms of safety, but at the same time, if Christian Gonzalez falls here, what happens after Darius Slay? He's on a 1-year deal. He said he wanted to run it back one more time with the Eagles. What do you have after Darius Slay? You have Avonte Maddox and no safeties? No, Christian Gonzalez has slid this far. You're going to need Christian Gonzalez. I'm taking him at 10.
I think fantastic pick. That's actually a spot I like. I could see a dark horse, Bijan Robinson, right?
I think that's just so high for a running back. It's so gross taking running back anytime within like the first 20 picks.
It is. I think the argument's almost gotten, the pendulum swung the other way and gotten a little excessive because Bijan's one of the better running back prospects to come out in a long time, and corner makes a ton of sense to me for Eagles at 10. So
yeah, like even Derrick Henry was a 2nd-round pick and he was a Heisman winner. I'm not taking a running back in round 1.
All right, Christian Gonzalez off the board. The Titans, again, another team that's rumored to have done a lot of work on the quarterbacks. Could be targeting a trade up. It'd take a lot to go to 3, so I don't ultimately see that happening. But they'd be jumping Indy, who's a division rival. But if one of these guys falls, I could see him jump up. But standing pat here, I kind of like Broderick Jones or Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I think kind of solidified himself as a wide receiver 1 in this class, and they're still recovering from the A.J. Brown trade. I think I'm going to stick with Broderick Jones here.
Broderick Jones over Paris Johnson? Broderick
Jones over Paris Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, mauling physical tackle from Georgia. So fits the run-heavy scheme they run pretty well.
Texans on the clock. Yes, you trade away Brandon Cooks. John Mechie got diagnosed with leukemia last year, and you traded up for him. You have no tight end.
Right.
You only have Laramie Tunsil. You just drafted your QB. Lucas Van Ness is on the board. Dalton Kincaid is on the board as well. Lucas Van Ness is tempting, but they need a weapon for Bryce Young, but they also need protection for him as well. There's too many things that they need, but I feel like they are going to prioritize receiver over anything, considering they just traded away Brandon Cooks for a 5th-round pick. So I'm going to take JSN, Ohio State, to Houston here.
Yeah, I agree. So I think teams, especially like the Texans, but you have a young signal caller, and we'll get to the Packers and a few other teams later. But I think you have to prioritize that. So all right, Jets at 13. This has been like the Bears, another pretty consensus pick for myself. I think if Paris Johnson's on the board here, they probably run in the guard and take Paris Johnson.
Yeah.
So gotta keep A-Rod upright whenever that happens.
Patriots here. Patriots is weird because they have so many, I would say, average receivers. I mean, there's so many rumors about DeAndre Hopkins to the Patriots, so I guess we'll know whenever that happens. But also, they don't have DBs. You have Jonathan Jones, you have Jack Jones who has potential, you have Marcus Jones who has potential, but they're not at the level yet. So Deontay Banks is on the board, Joey Porter is on the board, and then there's a lot you could take here. You can even take the defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh, but I think they would have to. I'm so conflicted between receiver and DB here because that's really big need on both sides of the ball. And I'm sorry, I'm conflicted. It's between Joey Porter for me and
Yeah.
Jordan Addison. I think I'm going to take Jordan Addison here. That's kind of a wild ball pick, but they need receiver, they need DB. I think they're going to prioritize receiver over DB, and the Patriots are going to go Jordan Addison.
Okay. Yeah, it's always easy to mock a defensive guy to Bill and be like, oh, look at Porter and Banks, they match the zone or man scheme, right? But they absolutely need more weapons on offense. And with the Packers here at 15, this is tough, and I kind of alluded to this, but I think they're still devoid of receiver tight end talent, and I don't know how determined Gutekunst is to not take a first round receiver. I think Dalton Kincaid, who I think is a better pass catching prospect than Mayer, could make a lot of sense here. But Cansey and Van Ness both on the board is really tempting as well. So if we're going what I think the team will do, or are we going to get?
Will do, for sure.
I think I'm going to stick with, we already have Addison, JSN off the board. And I think Cansey or Van Ness make a ton of sense here. Even Branch, but I'm going to stick with Dalton Kincaid, tight end. So I think if you're trying to help out a young quarterback, safety valve tight end, and Kincaid's a prolific pass catcher, basically the wide receiver one at Utah as a tight end. So
that's what I would have taken for the Packers. Commanders at 16 got a new owner for $6 billion. I don't know how I feel about that. Not really a step in the right direction even. I mean, losing Snyder was a good decision because Snyder was kind of a piece of shit, but...
Yeah, no, I have a very good friend. My head coach that I coached flag football with, big Commanders fan, and I texted him the news. He just texted back, liberated.
They don't need any defense, maybe DB, but we're going to skip defense. A lot of people have Hendon Hooker going here. I don't think so. I think the best offensive prospect that they could go here, they don't need a receiver. They already drafted one last year, and they have Scary Terry. They could have gone tight end with Dalton Kincaid. I don't think they're going to reach on Mayer. I think Bijan's probably just going to go here. Yes, they have Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, but they're not going to play nearly the level that Bijan is going to play like he is in his rookie year. Bijan's going to 16.
All right, which leaves me with Pittsburgh, and this is really tough. Everyone's been mocking Joey Porter to the Steelers, and kind of the expectation was he could go a lot higher. We kind of got a mini slide for Van Ness, but it's not like it's a massive position of need for the Steelers either. And I do like Cansey potentially here, backyard prospect. Pittsburgh specializes in a pass rushing defensive tackle, but I'm going to stick with Joey Porter here. I think they need more help on the back end, and go Porter.
That's agreeable. That's completely good with me. Now I'll get the Lions on the clock. I'm sure there's plenty of people in my comments section. I always have people who get pissed at me. Like last video, everyone got pissed at me for mocking Will Levis to the Commanders, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with Will Levis. Everyone gets mad at everything. Sure, plenty of people. Yeah, sure, plenty of people will be like, oh, well, they don't need Jalen Carter. They should have taken Christian Gonzalez at 6 or whatever. Well, now, guess what? You have Banks on the board. You got Jalen Carter, one of the best defensive linemen. And why would you not take Deontay Banks whenever he's here? So you get a good defensive back, and you get a good, amazing defensive lineman. So it works out both ways.
Obviously, corner, huge need, the way the board fell when Jalen Carter. So, I think it makes a ton of sense. And I'm naturally assuming they're going to prioritize defense, and probably more plausible to use both picks on defense. So Deontay Banks, one of the more versatile corners in the draft. Tampa Bay, 19. Could go a lot of different directions. Quarterback is, a position of need. You got Baker, the stopgap, right? I think they go Elijah Cansey.
That's fine.
So, actually, it's hard seeing Cansey and Van Ness on the board. I could also see him go tackle. I'm going to go Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright. Okay. I accidentally picked Cansey before you agreed on Darnell Wright, so it's fine.
Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
That's me wavering. But I like Darnell Wright.
Sure.
Darnell Wright,
Darnell Wright,
tackle,
cool.
Tennessee.
Tackle. Okay. So at 5, you took Devon Witherspoon for the Seahawks. So I have the option between Lucas Van Ness or Consi here, and I'm honestly going to take probably Consi out of Pittsburgh, defensive lineman for Seattle,
Yeah,
and they're going to continue to slide Van Ness. And you get the Chargers on your clock because, yeah, you're odd picks now, and I'm even because the Dolphins were a dumbass and their GM did stuff. So you
yeah.
get the Chargers pick, I get the Ravens pick. And by the way, everyone watching, my brother is a Chargers fan, and I am the Ravens fan. So we get our own picks.
Yeah, the few of the proud. I am a Chargers fan. Grew up
The few of the
San
proud.
Diego, and now I do have season tickets in LA, so we do exist. But
We do exist.
yeah. So here I talked about Addison was a receiver I liked. Quentin Johnson is really polished. Would have loved Kincaid in the spot. Obviously he's not there either. A lot of guys like Michael Mayer. Personally, I think he's going to fall a little further in Chargers again. There are pretty good tight end prospects around too. So with just the way the board has fallen, I'm going to throw a dark horse. And frankly, we're doing what we think will happen. And I think they just inevitably make things tougher on Herbert. But I'm praying for Hyatt or someone round 2, right? But I think with just the way everything's fallen, I think they go Lucas Van Ness here.
Lucas Van Ness.
So the dark horse pick for me for the Chargers would have been Edge. And I think if Van Ness is on the board, they take him. So.
Well, at pick 22, since you took away Lucas Van Ness and there's no DBs on the board, there's no more opportunity for the Ravens to piss off Lamar, and they're forced to take a wide receiver here. I mean, maybe they go Miles Murphy here, which I could see them doing, or Nolan Smith. I mean, I think they could actually do that. Zay Flowers, I'm not really sold on. If he was more physical, I would be, but he's a smaller guy. He doesn't have extreme speed. He's just a really good route runner, is what it is. Or Cyrus Torrance is here too. Honestly, I think they're just going to piss off Lamar again. They're going to go Miles Murphy out of Clemson, edge rusher.
Yeah, that's what inspired my Chargers pick.
Yeah, they're just going to piss off Lamar again. They'll be like, oh, well, we got you Odell in a 1-year deal. That should be good enough, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is Nelson Aguilar not enough for you, Lamar?
Addison was a guy I mocked at the Vikings a lot. So, yeah, you have Justin Jefferson, but you have to take pressure off of him. I love the trade for the Iowa tight end they got from Detroit. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
TJ Hawkinson?
Hawkinson.
Yeah, I was about to be like, what?
No, I'm sorry. I was drawing a total blank there. But, yeah, no, Hawkinson, I think he looked fantastic in Minnesota. But they did let Thielen go, so I think this is where the Vikings are probably taking a look at
Quentin Johnson.
Receiver. I think I end the Quentin Johnson slide here.
Okay, that's fine.
I still think that ends kind of that initial tier of wide receivers and moving into the second tier, which Zay would headline. So
I see a lot of Hendon Hooker mocks to the Vikings. I don't like those, but I see a lot of them happening.
I don't think that's what's going to happen, right? But we'll see.
Man, Brian Brace and Nolan Smith here. They have Josh Allen. They drafted Trayvon Walker. So why is one of their needs edge? Like, that's confusing.
I actually agree with that.
That doesn't make much sense.
I like DB here, but you're the GM. Make the call.
There's no DB really that's worth on the board. There's safeties. Who is their safeties? Is it Ronnie Harrison and it's Strong? Who's their free?
I don't even know.
They could see Brian Branch here, but
I think safety's completely on the board, or you could see Osiris Torrance sneak up here.
Yeah, I think that's what I was actually leaning towards. I'm taking Osiris Torrance for Trevor Lawrence. That's what I was taking. Or Anton Harrison, because Cam Robinson's deal, I believe, was only a 2-year deal, I think.
Right.
So they could go tackle here as well in Anton Harrison. But Osiris Torrance didn't allow a single sack or a single pressure last season from an SEC school, so that's pretty impressive in my book. I don't know why he isn't mocked in first round more often, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Backyard prospect coming out of Florida.
Yeah.
So, Giants. This is a spot where you're. I mean, they made it. Okay. Group of receivers look pretty good under Dable. I still think. Dable's always who I went for the Chargers. It's just a painful reminder. But I think, they could go receiver here. Again, there's some options later. I really like their tight end Bellinger, though, who they got last year out of San Diego State. But I've seen some guys sneaking John Michael Schmitz up to this spot to play center. I think I am actually going to go Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. and get a leader, potential captain in the backfield of the defense.
I like that. I like that because they just lost Julian Love too. I mean, Xavier McKinnon's not bad. He's just not crazy.
Right, right.
Cowboys, I'm just going to make it quick here. Their run defense sucks. It's Brian Brees is going to be the pick out of Clemson. That's that. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Yeah, and that was one of those other consensus spots with Chicago and the Jets. I have seen Mayer being mocked there.
Mayer, that makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah, with Dalton Schultz on the move, but Brian Brisset is the other one that's heavily mocked to Dallas. And we still got this monster slide going for Nolan Smith, and I could see him. The pass rush is still a problem.
I can see O-line here too. Or O-line is kind of weak.
No, I could definitely see O-line. I think over Anton Harrison, a pure left tackle. I could see DeJuan Jones, but I think with the two tackles left on the board, you could possibly play him inside before kicking him outside too. So, except he's a massive prospect. So DeJuan Jones, right tackle, Bills.
Okay, I like that one. The Bengals, their offensive line overpaying for Orlando Brown. I can tell you as a Ravens fan, he's not worth that much money. I'm glad we got rid of him. He's a good player, but for the amount of money that he is always demanding, he's not crazy. They have La'el Collins at right tackle. They have Alex Kappa at right guard. I can see John Michael Schmitz going here as well.
I can see Mayer.
I think that's
Nolan Smith still on the board is kind of hard.
I mean, they have Trey Hendrickson, then who's on the other side of the edge for him? Carl Lawson?
True.
Which, and their defensive tackles aren't bad. They're just not crazy. They have B.J. Hill and that other defensive tackle. I forgot his name. Yeah, I think I am just going to go Michael Mayer here from the way the draft board fell. Michael Mayer to the Bengals. Pick 29, Saints?
All right. Saints here, this is kind of a layup. I'm probably just going to go Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
So.
Peyton Turner is a bust. He's not good. They just lost Marcus Davenport, and Cam Jordan's just old.
Yeah. So I think Nolan Smith makes way too much sense. I could have seen him gone for Will McDonald too, but Nolan Smith, Saints.
Yeah, I do think Nolan Smith is the one guy that we did let slide way too far, but we couldn't really.
Yeah, that was a surprise slide there. So.
I mean, George Karlaftis did the exact same surprise slide last year, becoming the last pick in the draft. I thought it was going to be like a teens pick.
Yeah, he wasn't quite the last. I think it was like 27 or 28. But the Patriots were sitting there like 26 or 27. I was sitting there and like, oh, of course the Patriots get this guy that And then they passed on him for Cole Strange. I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, Cole Strange isn't bad, but you could have gotten in the second round.
I was like, the Chiefs are seriously going to get this guy, and of course it happened. So.
Eagles on the clock. Will McDonald is here, which is kind of tempting, but do they run a 4-3 or a 3-4? I'm pretty sure they run a 4-3. Will McDonald might be it here. They already took a DB earlier. And they could go Josh Downs for a slot player here, which I don't think would be the worst idea. And I think they might do that as well. It's either between Josh Downs or Will McDonald for me.
Yeah, over Zay.
Over Zay, because Zay's a route runner. They need a speed separator slot, and that's what Josh Downs is. And Zay would be more of a wide receiver 2 or 1 if he was able to get that route running crazy. Man.
Would still keep it a pretty prolific receiving core.
Yeah, you said they like to stack their D-line, so I'm going to go Will McDonald the fourth here out of Iowa State.
I like that a lot. Silly.
So Chiefs on the clock, I think they're probably going to take receiver here. Which one do you want? Or they could go Anton Harrison, too.
I'm going to go Anton Harrison.
Yeah.
I think they've continued to just make it work, and without the trade of Tyreek Hill and pick up Juju. They have Kadarius Toney, who didn't do a lot last year, but with full off season. So I actually really like this mock for that.
I like this mock too. The only thing I would fix is, of course, Nolan Smith, and then I would probably maybe Jordan Addison would go a little bit lower than New England. I know I put him there, but it seems like we took the two first wide receivers. Then after that, there was just a huge gap between them.
Right. But all in all, I like this mock, and each one I try to do, probably something a little different. Well, what if this scenario happens? And then kind of where does that put other teams, right? But that's again, I think you're going to see a lot of volatility this year. Just a lot of parity. between kind of the back half of the first round and beginning of the second. So we did see a lot of those guys sneak up.
Yeah, I like this mock draft. But anyways, I think that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you, Chaz, for joining me.
And thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
And apart from that, guys, see you guys all in the next one.